right, guys, I'm going to give you some realness right now. As a mother of a 24-year-old daughter, if my daughter had come to me and told me that I needed to stay in my lane, I think I would have reinvented her lane. So, Lynn, in this episode, is a hell of a lot better than me. Hi, guys. My name is Maria Park, and this is Approach to Nerd. And in this episode, we are reviewing Black Lightning Season 4, Episode 2, entitled The Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 2, Unacceptable Losses. This was interesting. Like Black Lightning, it's really hard for me because it's the very last season, and all of our characters are going away, so it's already very challenging. And then you got things that are happening in this story that are just like, why do we really need to have this happening when we are on our last season? But I get it. We got a lot of closure. A lot of people are having problems either dealing with the power they have or struggling to get power. So there's a power struggle and another civil war actually brewing in Freeland. So speaking of Freeland, we don't get to see all of the destruction that was caused by, everything with the ASA, and dealing with the Markovians and different, a Gravedigger, all of this stuff. We don't get to see how Freeland is doing in terms of the buildings. But in this episode, we get a little bit more of an understanding that Freeland is really trying to rebuild itself, but they are nowhere near that. And we see this in the form of actually a teacher that is working for Jefferson, who unfortunately lost his house last season and has been living in his car with his 3 kids. Now there's a war brewing between the Cobra Cartel and the 100. And so Lala and the new leader of the opposition is a woman named Destiny. And you see that Lala has sent people to her club of business or whatever to try and take her and her, the rest of them out. And she ends up killing everyone but the driver. And Lala is very competitive. It's really interesting. I know Lala is like bulletproof and can't die, but I don't get why he doesn't understand that everybody he sends is capable of dying. You know what I mean? He's like losing people left and right. But everyone's battling for Freeland, so it is what it is. So everyone wants to have that foothold. But the teacher that I was talking about, living in his car with his kids, his older son gets shot and he ends up getting killed. And we see Anissa. Anissa is with another doctor that's been working with her, and he instantly hits on her because, Anissa's hot. And she lets him know very quickly that game recognizes game, and she's a lesbian. And I'll get into that in a second, but they were both hanging out and having a drink when the kind of shootout between the 100 and the Cobra, catches this kid in the crossfire, and they're unable to save him. And it turns out it is one of Jefferson's teachers at the school. It's his son. And then we also see that the child protectors, or CPS, basically comes and takes his other kids. And he says, I'm done. I don't know what the teacher was going to do. I mean, it just didn't look good. I mean, I'm hoping this wasn't like, I don't have a reason to live anymore type scenario. I hope that's not what the case is. But it's showing Freeland is very, very splintered. And I love that in the midst of this, Anissa as Blackbird kind of has this meeting between Lala. She literally kidnaps Lala and Destiny and says, I know you're going to do what you do, but she says this lot is where it's basically going to be, protected by me, and people that are homeless and have nowhere to go are able to be here and be safe. And reluctantly, Lala and Destiny both agree because they both know that if the people are dying out, they don't have customers. So, but I love that Anissa's doing that. But Anissa's always been like that. She's always been an activist, and a lot of people like to say SJW, but she's a social justice warrior, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you think there is, that's your problem. Throwing it out there. But something that Anissa said was interesting. So Grace has been in that coma for over a year, and we knew that Lynn was trying a new therapy to try and get her, transformations under control, and hopefully she'll be able to, wake up and have the drugs actually work, since her ability to shift is causing the treatments not to work. Now, I did see on the bed. So Anissa went and walked in the room, and then she had shaped it into, I think it was a leopard or something like that, and And this is like, I can't deal with this right now. And then she decides to go and have a drink with the other doctor guy. And then he's talking about how he was a homebody. He's been making himself go out because he had to put down his dog that he's had for years. And Anissa basically compared her situation with Grace to him and his dog. And I'm like, like, and I get it, guys. I get it. It's been a year. Grace has been in a coma for a year, which means Anissa has been taking care of Grace for a year and is wearing her down. I've been a caretaker. My previous spouse had cancer. My mother had cancer. I understand how much time and how much of your life you give up to take care of somebody who's ill. They don't ask for to be ill, though. So that's the one thing that it's hard for me. I understand as a caretaker that you need me time and you need to be able to live your life. But the people that you love that have been in your life, while they're well, you're supposed to be in their life while they're ill. That's just my personal opinion. It doesn't have to be, I'm not trying to down the soapbox here. But I just thought it was interesting that she compared him losing his dog and that, taking care of the dog for so long to her girlfriend. Like, I don't know where she was going with that, but that was just, all right. So Chief Lopez wants to, as I said in the last week's episode, bag and tag. And I don't mean bag as in kill, but then again, I really do. She wants to register and tag every, meta in Freeland, regardless of whether they're a criminal or not. She wants them all identifiable. So to do this, she gets on, she's basically doing a broadcast, and she gets on there and she says, I'm getting DEGs, which are like those, direct energy guns that they were talking about in the last one. And she tells the people of Freeland that she's going to be giving them to all of her officers, and she's ordered them basically. Why would you do that? Why would you announce in Freeland that you're going to get a shipment of meta hurting guns? Because that's basically what they're very harmful for the metas. They have a high percentage of mortality rate, according to Gamby. Why would you announce that to everyone in Freeland? I don't understand that. Why couldn't she have said, oh, yeah, we're taking certain steps, or we're going to have some new protocols in place to handle, meta-human criminals? Why is she like, oh, yeah, we get these guns coming? So, of course, Lala's like, yep, and some of them are going to fall off the truck and go into my hands because you did this. You did this. Chief Lopez isn't thinking. She's not thinking. She doesn't know where she is. But, so now we know how Lala is going to obtain these guns. And it's not going to be very good. We also see Tobias is buying up a lot of property in Freeland, including ones that he likes that are quote unquote, a mess and not fixable. He even turns down an offer from an assistant to try and get a contractor to rebuild because he likes to contain mess, I guess. I mean, again, Tobias is Tobias. I do love his interaction with Jefferson, though. He goes to the school. Of course, Jefferson tries to light him up, even though it's in the school parking lot right after school and teachers are coming out. He just does it without even looking around to see if anybody's looking, which shows you that Jefferson is not in his right mind. But the kicker is that Tobias, the serum he's been injecting himself with, has a twist, and now his skin is pretty much shockproof. And so he can't use his lightning on Tobias, which is a good thing because technically he would have killed him right there in the parking lot because Jefferson isn't thinking, Gamby did say that he thinks that him not wearing a suit and using his powers, so irresponsibly is messing with his mind. And it's probably true, as well as wrecking his nervous system. But yeah, so Tobias cannot be affected by the black lightning, but lightning's lightning, no pun intended. So that's a problem. And Tobias basically says, I want you to get back on your game because it's no fun taking everything that you love if you're not Black Lightning anymore, because he's not. And Jefferson is really struggling with the death of Henderson. This stuff is hard for him. It is really hard. He has lost faith in his own ability to be Black Lightning. He doesn't want to wear the suit. He doesn't want to be a hero. He's even letting his girls out there do, basically going around the city doing all this dangerous work and not backing them up. Lynn did have a point about that. The girls are out there and they do need backup, because let's get something straight about the girls. They're a little cocky right now, especially Jen, because Jen can heal herself. But that cockiness can also get you or somebody else killed. And since daddy's not out there to guide them, even though they like to argue with them, they're just left to their own devices. And that's not, I love Thunder and Lightning, but I just really feel like that cockiness is going to get somebody hurt or killed. So him not being out there is with them, being their guide, and being like the voice of reason to them, at least putting something in their head, is very problematic right now. The entire Pierce family is having a lot of issues. So we both saw last week that both Jefferson and Lynn have been going to see a therapist, which I hope she's on the up and up. I hope she doesn't work for Tobias, because that's another way he can really get into the Pierce's head, is through the person they thought was there to help them. But if she is on the up and up, she's calling out some hard truths. Like with Lynn, we learned from Lynn that she has no hobbies. She has no life outside of her work and her family. She doesn't even know herself. So that's a big revelation, because I mean, Lynn has always been a very brilliant, beautiful woman. But there are times when I just want to reach to the screen and just smack the hell out of her, because she's so wishy-washy when in terms of Black Lightning and his powers, and how, even down to how he handles grief. She literally had him on a timeline last episode. I will say, if there's anything that I hate about the writing of Black Lightning, because Black Lightning is one of the better shows, is that they write Lynn to sometimes be a very unlikable character, when it's hard, because she is very few women of color who can be role models to fans out there. So especially for one who's not a meta and doesn't have powers, she does everything based on her intellect, and that is very endearing to me. But they make her so damn annoying sometimes, and it bothers me. But I had her back a little bit in this episode, because when her two daughters came at her, when they found out that, from Jefferson, that she followed Jen, because what happened was Jen was out doing patrol, being cocky, not looking around, and she almost got shot. And her, Lynn had already injected herself, I think it was Wendy's powers, and managed to, kind of take the brunt of the hit, not get really hurt, but save Jen's butt, basically, who got a little hurt and, flew off and like killed herself. But when the girls found out that, Lynn did that, they went to her lab, and they were basically telling her to stay. They literally said, you need to stay in your lane. And first of all, and she even says, let's not forget that I brought your butts into this world. I'm like, they really did forget that. My mother's been dead for almost 14 years on March 18th. And I swear to you, if I had opened my mouth to my mother like that, I wouldn't be here. I'd be a dot on the floor. If my own daughter talked to me like that, she would be uncreated. I would be like Wanda in WandaVision. I would create a reality where she was no longer there. I'm like, cause no. So I had to give mad props to Lynn for not taking one of those, beakers off the table and smacking the hell out of them, because nope. Nope. So yeah, stay in your lane. Cocky. I don't like it. But I will say that what Lynn is doing, and I said this in the last week's review, and Jefferson even said it in this review, she's replaced one addiction with another. She was on the Glimmer, and now she's into basically experimenting with all of the DNA of metahumans and injecting herself with it to see if she can get meta powers, and testing out the limits to protect Freeland and her family. But it is essentially an addiction. She can't seem to stop doing it. So he's right. It's sad because she became an addict, not because she was she had that addictive personality. She was tricked into being an addict with Glimmer, but this is willingly. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack in this episode, guys. There's a ton to unpack in this episode. I feel like everything's going to come down to these DEGs. So like Gambi is literally smitten with this woman named Lauren, and she works for a company that makes the weapons, the DEG weapons. And he was out on a date with her. Now the show's making it look like he's trying to choose between having a life of his own, or a love life of his own, and his devotion to the Pierce family, who he considers his family. I don't think that's what it is, but I do think that he is going to. I think he does have feelings for Lauren, and Lauren obviously has feelings for him. And in the interview, when we did all the DC interviews with the CW, I think it was the middle of to late last year, I remember the actor saying he would like for him to have a girlfriend. Like they were asked different questions where they wanted their characters to go, and that was his response. And I think this is his wish. I mean, it's the last season. If Gambi is going to have a relationship with somebody, or at least have something, then it's going to be this season. And the reason I think it's Lauren is because they don't have time to build a brand new relationship from scratch, but they could build a relationship from one that already existed in the past. So they already know each other. They already have a connection. So I think that this Lauren person could be somebody that Gambi ends up with by the end of the series. But right now, I think it's going to be kind of splintered, because in Strain, he's going to use her to try and control this DEG situation, because Gambi always has a plan. I mean, even breaking into the office and, getting, basically all the stuff he did to infiltrate the office before he had that second meeting with Lauren told me that he's not abandoning his family. He's actually doing this to protect the Pierces. But there may be a point in this series, at least in this season, when they don't believe that. And it looks like he has gone to the other side, and it may be intentional that he makes it seem that way. So we'll see. I'm just hoping that Gambi doesn't die at the end of the season. That will make me very upset, because, Black Lightning does not shy away from killing people off. So I want Gambi to have a happy ending, as well as the Pierces. But yeah, overall good episode. I think the Pierces just need to learn more to try and bond more and become more of the family that understands each other and works together, instead of all doing their own thing, because that's what's happening right now. And I really am looking forward to seeing how Tobias ends up, because I think he's building up to something crazy, and this is his last shot, unless he's crossing over into Painkillers, which, if he goes in the Painkiller series, that would make sense, because he got a lot of bad blood with Painkiller. So more than likely we will see Tobias over there. Hopefully we will see, some of the others, if not Thunder, then Blackbird. I don't think we'll get Lightning, since she has expressed, the actress for Lightning has expressed that she doesn't want to do this series anymore. She wants to do documentaries and do her own work, which is fine. Is she up for doing a guest appearance? I don't know, but it would be nice to have, some of the Black Lightning cast crossing over to Painkiller. But we'll see. We haven't even seen Khalil. So I think he's supposed to be in one of the upcoming episodes to start off his series as a pilot test or whatever. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, good episode. If I forgot to mention anything, please let me know. Please put it in the comments below, because I'm tired and I do that. But overall, I'm looking forward to the next episode. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Jefferson and the Pierces. And I'm really interested to see how we're handling the DGs and Tobias. Normal Black Lightning stuff. But I would love to know what you think. So please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for Jury Duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next in their ballot, the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.